Today's interview, I'm really excited about, and I hope that you derive a lot of understanding and also some inspiration from our guest today, Ilya Kneppelhout. He is the founder of the Offline Club, and I am so excited to have him with us here because we're going to talk about the importance of community in the process and as an aid to get us back to more human experiences and also away from devices. Ilya, thank you very much for being here with us. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and why did you start the Offline Club?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jose. I'm very excited to be on the Moving Offline podcast. Yeah, so my name is Ilya. I'm 27 years old. I'm Dutch. So I was born in Amsterdam, raised outside of Amsterdam, and now I'm back in Amsterdam after having also spent some time in the United States for my college. And I'm one of the co-founders of the Offline Club, along with Jordi and Valentine. And what we do is we bring people together offline to reconnect with themselves. I would also reconnect with others.
This concept that you are working on is extremely simple, yet at the same time, it takes so many resources to get it done well. So, what have you guys tried so far? And what are some of the principles that the Offline Club stands? And how has it been helpful to the community around you?
All right. So, yeah, we started last year, almost a year ago in February 2024. And our philosophy was to make digital detoxing accessible to all and not have offline be the new luxury, and create a place where people can feel like themselves, where they can rest and relax, but also where they can come to meet new people. So basically a third space for people who want to unplug from devices and have more genuine connection. So that's also one of our values, right? Accessibility and also freedom. So our events in the beginning, we weren't really sure what the program should be. We just wanted to bring people together, take their phones and see what it's like. But right now we basically split our Hangouts and our community experience into two parts where we have time to connect with ourselves and time to connect with others. So it's a mix of relaxation and unwinding. And on the other part, also meeting new people and connecting in a more genuine way.
Walk me through one of your example events, right? What is the expectation? What am I going to experience? And again, what was it the motivating factor for you specifically and your founder and your co-founder to start something more offline and organic rather than a virtual experience of sorts with all of the new developments, right? We could say we could just stay at home and experience the same thing with Zoom or AR or VR, all of these discussions. But walk me through the experience and yeah, tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. So we host different type of offline experiences. So how we started actually was by having an offline weekend, a full weekend offline in a house in nature where you unplug with about 10 to 14 people, and the whole weekend has no program. So you can really be present, live in the moment and do as you like without having to complete to-dos, be productive, or really make something efficient of your day. Then we host our regular offline hangouts, which are basically our flagship event where people come together in very warm, cozy cafes or spaces around the city. The first thing they do is they hand in their phone. We lock them up into our phone hotel, and then people read during the first hour or write or journal. So it's very simple offline activities. And afterwards, people play board games. They have inspiring conversations. They share ideas, or they just have fun together. So that's our flagship event. And then we also host different types of events that are bigger, like in a church where it's like 200 to 300 people, or events that are a bit more niche that focus on arts and crafts and creativity, or reading or letter writing. So it's quite diverse, but still the same principle. And that's the power of simplicity and just being you.
Someone listening may say, Ilya, this is nothing new. I can do this at home. I can just journal, paint, I can reflect, I can do my arts and crafts at home. Why do I need to go to a third space? What is the actual value that I'm deriving out of this experience? Why should I, even spend any money or, go to this location with strangers and not feel comfortable maybe in that setting?
Right. Good question. That's a question we get from a lot of journalists, especially. So, of course, I have an answer ready for that one. So, basically, I think for centuries already, people have been collaboratively doing things they could have been doing just by themselves at home. Think of going to a cinema, think of going to a dance club. You can do those things at home. You can dance in your own room. You can watch a movie on your couch, but it's more fun to do it with others, with like minded people. And the spaces and atmosphere we create is, even if I say it myself, quite magical. If you're in a space and 30 to 50 people are sitting there doing their own thing, but in companionship with others, there's something to it. It's a real experience. And of course, it's not just the urge to be away from your phone. There's also really a need and a demand for connecting with people, which you cannot do at home by yourself, right? So there's a twofold reason to it, maybe even threefold, because the third reason is that when you're together with other people who are also off their phone, you create a very unique space, which is quite hard to find in today's society, where in cafes, you see a lot of people on their phones, in trains as well. So we're actually offering people something they can't really get anywhere else.
So I'd like to move the conversation into a little bit of the philosophical underpinnings that motivated you to create this experience. Because a lot of the experiences that are being created nowadays are with technology and not necessarily with human beings. We see a lot of declining participation in third spaces, religious institutions, even social clubs, just kind of going down. There was a recent documentary called, if I recall correctly, it's called Join or Die, about the importance of clubs, about the importance of joining something, about the importance of having some extra social activity. So, help me understand a little bit more of the philosophical motivations or practical motivations that helped you kickstart this process.
Yeah, let's think. So the initial reason of us founding the Offline Club was a very personal reason that is more related to the fact that we live very rushed lives in which we try to maximize every minute of the day. And going offline and experiencing digital detox ourselves had made us experience a lot of positive benefits, which we wanted to share with others. And after we had started the Offline Club, right, which is more of a community centric approach also to bring back those third spaces you're talking about, we really found that adds an extra power because you have more accountability, because it's more fun also to be together. And because especially in this day and age where loneliness and isolations are also two pressing problems, having a space where you can meet like-minded people and see the same people again and again and find a sense of belonging is super important for your mental health, because your mental health is highly dependent also on the amount and strength of social connections you have. And we hope to offer that.
Now, though, you mentioned that the importance of community and seeing people that are like minded, I can definitely resonate with that. I do have a community like that myself here in the Denver area. But I know that as society has become a little bit more fractured and polarized, people may be uncomfortable with that. And what if I go to one of your events and then I have a terrible experience because I talk with somebody that disagreed with me on whatever level, technology, politics, religion, all of this stuff? I think that that's not a bad thing, but have you guys encountered some of that and, the diversity that you see the people attending?
Well, of course, not everyone connects immediately on a deep level with everyone they meet. We have never had a fight or a discussion. I think the polarization that we have here in the Netherlands is also way less than in the United States. And here in the Netherlands, people are actually really good at also disagreeing with each other and having those discussions and not seeing it as a bad thing, but having an adult discussion where they're open for each other's perspectives. And in general, our events are very intimate and quiet events and personal. So it really attracts a very warm hearted, kind type of person that might be a bit more introverted or might not feel exactly comfortable in other social settings like cafes or bars where it's very loud and noisy. And the interests are overall quite similar, which is philosophical conversations, creativity, arts and crafts, reading. So there is a very easy starting point to talk about what you have just been doing during the first part of the event. and people want to know each other on a personal level. They're not there to prove each other a point.
The next section that I want to go over is, what have you seen to be the interaction in these community conversations with the topic of people leaving smartphones, people leaving big tech products, let it be services? Has it come up, and how are you guys managing that? Because I understand that you have the phone hotel, right? To check in and check out whenever you're leaving, so that you can experience the conversation, so that you can experience the environment firsthand with other people around you. But do you guys promote that change in lifestyle, or is this just I'm going to go get my fix of offline and then I'm going to go back to the online world and experience all the dopamine hits in my life?
Yeah, well, we think one of the most powerful way to experience the offline lifestyle, actually by making it a routine as well, is by experiencing it. So by attending an offline event and experiencing what comes available when you put away that phone and your other digital devices. But there are two things that we do to actually trigger that conversation and raise awareness. And that's, for example, through our own conversation starter game, the offline connection deck, which has prompt questions and topics of discussion about the themes of human connection, the relationship with technology and your phone, and how you can better unplug from that and detach yourself from technology. And then also at the end of our offline hangouts, we typically ask people to share their top digital detoxing life hacks or tips, which can inspire others to also decrease their screen time and find more value in their life.
Now, this is happening in the Netherlands, and you guys are doing an amazing job. I've been following essentially some of the events, some of what people have been saying. But a lot of people here in the United States may be thinking, this may be too daunting for me to host or to participate in. How can people start doing more practical things, small things, to get into this mindset that we need people, that we need community, and that we can make this happen on a larger basis? It doesn't have to be affiliated with the offline club. It can just be the digital detox club or whatever you want to start in your own city. What are some of those steps that people can take personally and then communally to make this happen?
Yeah, good question. I think those are two different conversations to have, or two different topics. So first of all, how can you be less on your phone in your day to day at home? There's a number of ways. First of all, I would say start small and don't try to immediately completely change your behavior. So start by just leaving your phone at home when you go out for groceries or when you go to the gym, or you go on a walk offline. So you start realizing that you can actually do without and that you're not dependent on your phone and that people can wait. Turn off your notifications so that you are actually the one who chooses when to use your phone instead of it using you, and deciding when you're going to use it. Buy an alarm clock so that you don't have your phone in your bedroom when you wake up. That has been a big life changer for me. And then to answer your second question, what can you do to, right, actually make this more of a community effort? I would say just start small. Call up a cafe, or it doesn't even have to be a cafe. Start a group on Meetup, for example, or start a group chat with some friends. Ask friends to invite friends and go on an offline walk together, or do an offline picnic, or just choose a cafe and decide together you're going to have a digital detox hangout together. And that might spread itself. And there's a huge demand for it, as you can see from the demand for the offline club. So I think if you start something in your local area, because we can't be there yet, I'm sure there will be people who are ready for it and who will embrace it. There will also be people who are skeptical about it and who might go against it.
That's a great response. I want to go into a little bit of, somebody listening is going to say to you, maybe you have gotten this feedback at some point in time, is like, Ilya is just exploiting the current fad or the current zeitgeist that is going anti big tech, and he's selling you these experiences when you can have them for free, or when you can just host them at your house and you don't need this quote unquote club in order to have some of these conversations. What would you be your response? What is the value that people can get from a paid experience versus a free experience that they just host themselves?
Well, I think that if there would be a free experience and if it would be available, then people would do that and they wouldn't be coming to the offline club anyways. So I actually don't think you can get a similar experience anywhere else. There are no offline cafes. There are no offline hangouts, no free ones. Yes, you can host it at home, but no one does it. That's why they come to the offline club. Yeah. So if people, of course, we've had some doubts and skeptical questions about us charging money for it. We really try to make it accessible for as many people as possible. We see the value that we have for people in their lives. Someone told us, for example, that we saved him from loneliness. So, and it is an experience on itself. So just like people charge money for other things, and we charge people for an event that we host. There's a host available. We facilitate the programming and the creative supply. So there's a lot of value that we give as the offline club. And to be honest, I think people pay for crazier stuff than an offline experience where that's good for their mental health and where they meet friends.
I can think of a lot of reasons why you provide value. And by perusing some of the hangouts that you have upcoming, I see that a lot of them are sold out, which speaks to the value that you're providing. So I'm really excited to continue seeing, because I don't think there is anything wrong with entrepreneurship, especially when you have a experience and facilitating conversations and giving resources. I think all of that is extremely valuable. I just wanted to get your opinion on that, because a lot of people are sometimes challenged financially, and they may say, "Wait, I tried to get out of my phone because it was getting me into this subscription system and marketing me and doing all of these things, and now I'm going to an offline hangout and I had to pay, and there may be extra resources that I'm going to pay for." So I just want to get your perspective, because that is happening. That criticism of the offline movement is happening as well within certain devices. For example, the Light Phone 2, people are saying this is just a hipster phone. It's not worth it. Yada yada yada. It's going to be, why would you pay $300 for a phone that can do very little? And I think you focusing on the value that people can derive, the experience, the facilitating, the creating the environment, I think it's important, and it helps me understand that it's not just we're going to a place together, but it's more of a curated resource and community building that you're developing. So I'm excited to hear about that.
There's always going to be people who are critical, right? And that's totally fine because that also, opens your eyes. And it's good to understand why people may be skeptical about a concept or a movement. But in the end, there's also a lot of people who do love it. And yeah, we're here for those people.
Before we close the podcast, I'd like to understand a little bit more of some of the experiences that you have heard from people, some of those testimonials, some of the good that has happened as a result of the event, and how does that keep you fueled and motivated to keep going?
Yeah, there's always a couple that stick with you. Well, first of all, there's even been an instance after one of our offline getaways, the offline weekend, that I just started crying when everyone shared what it did to them because it was so spot on and it so included everything that we hope to achieve. So, right, people felt like they had never in the past years felt so void of stress and so relaxed. People read a book for the first time in months. That for the offline getaway, but then for the shorter events and after a number of events, as I just said, someone came up to us and said, "You saved me from loneliness." So that's amazing to hear, of course. I also remember another girl who didn't really feel at home in Amsterdam and was going to move back to Vancouver in Canada sooner than she was planning to, until she met the offline club through which she found her community and she decided to stay. Um, and then, of course, a lot of friendships have come out of the offline club, and even 3 romantic relationships have come out of the offline club, which, of course, we didn't expect at all. And in general, the feedback, it's just so rewarding. People are very grateful that we're doing this. People often say that they are much more easily able to connect with people and have more natural conversations, and that they can just really unwind at our events and be themselves.
That sounds amazing. And it sounds like something that it should start in more places. We need more of these concepts. Maybe it's not a full curated experience where people are charging for it, but just a simple hangout, inviting friends, inviting acquaintances to just say, or maybe talking with a cafe owner shop and just saying, hey, can we host a night where there are no phones allowed? We'll have this check-in system and we're just going to experience something. And maybe, something can kickstart in different parts of the world. So I'm really excited about that possibility. Ilya, thank you very much for being in this short podcast and giving us just a short glimpse into what is the offline club and what is the underpinning around it. Tell us how people can find you, get resources, maybe get connected, start a chapter, maybe here in the United States, get some of that ideas happening and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. So we definitely hope to get to the United States soon. Of course, we're going at our own pace because it's just the four of us. So slowly but surely, we'll get to the other side of the ocean. You can get in touch with us through Instagram at @theoffline_club. You can there also check our website, which is theoffline-club.com.
Thanks a lot, Ilya, for that. And as always, I like to leave my guests with the final word. So tell us anything you want to tell us, any advice, anything that people can use and utilize for their practical life. And then I'll close us off.
Great. Well, I would just say buy an alarm clock so you can actually wake up with your own thoughts, sleep better, have more time for reading or journaling or other creative activities, and have an easier start of the day. And just this small investment might just make your days and weeks much better.
That was our conversation with Ilya Kneppelhout. And I'm so excited to see more of these pop up. The commercial part, the community part, everything just screams, this is needed in our society. So I hope that just listening to a little bit of how the experiences have been crafted motivates you to do something at a smaller scale or at a bigger scale. And if you want to get connected, make sure to click on the links in the description of this podcast, because I think a movement like this, activities like this, are going to continue healing our minds and our relationships over time when we interact with each other offline. Thank you for listening to Moving Offline. We appreciate your listenership. If you're enjoying this podcast, if you find value in it, make sure to share with a friend and also rate us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify if you're listening on those platforms. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next podcast.